But I'm willing to move outside the strictly dog species if I have to.
Are dogs the only sentient animals in Bluey?
Major Tom?
G'day you cheeky dogs, welcome to Happy Healer Days, where I'm releasing a video every single day of December leading up to Christmas. And today's question comes from Matthew Davis Media, who asks, I have one, is there any animals other than dogs in other parts of the world in Bluey? So I wanted to combine this with the idea of like sentience with animals in Bluey.
Old MacDonald does have a horse, but she was on holiday when they wrote the book.
Oh.
And basically my answer here is yes, dogs are the only ones who are sentient. There are no other animals in Bluey that can talk and walk and all those sorts of things. But this is for two very different reasons. The first one is the Peppa Pig reason, and the second one is the evolution of dogs reason. And I've done a whole video on that evolution of dogs, which I'm going to attach into this video as well. So let's talk about the Peppa Pig reason first, which is actually the real reason of the creator of Bluey, Joe Brumm, choosing dogs. Because it turns out he really loves Peppa Pig, and he's spoken about this in multiple different interviews as well, and how Peppa Pig was his inspiration for Bluey, but he didn't really want to copy it.
But yeah, when there's so many classic animated dogs, why do you think Bluey is one of the first where it's just all dogs as far as the eye can see?
Yeah, well, it's because of Peppa Pig.
Right.
I really love Peppa Pig. Now, and what I love about Peppa Pig is obviously they use animal families, just each family is a different animal.
Yeah.
It's more universal that way. Anyone can relate to the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so visually different. And I just thought, well, I'm going to rip that off. But dogs, dogs are almost visually as different to each other.
That's true,
different dog breeds.
Now, he did also say in another interview that they had the idea of using cats as like creatures or like other sentient animals for like other countries like Asia or the UK or something.
What's the deal with cats?
The cats. Yeah, I was asked this the other day. Cats. I'd love to bring a cat into a Bluey episode. I do think I was thinking back in season 1 that one day a bunch of cats should just turn up and like talking cats, and it's like
What's with the cat?
Yeah, and then it's like some sort of genocide story that then follows, and there's like a war or something or they invaded.
There's your movie, Joe. There's your movie right there.
Yeah, that's it. It's just an all-out war. But yeah, I'll figure it out one day. I'll let you know.
But he could have Rusty be the lead in that situation too.
Exactly.
That works out.
Totally, yeah.
But they ended up scrapping that instead and chose to just go with dogs all around the world, which is what we see in Bluey as well. We've met dogs from other countries like the UK, like Honey's family.
You can't dunk a wafer, it'll go all soggy. Don't be so silly, Marcus.
Well, I like a wafer. I like the way they go all soggy.
Oh.
And dogs from other countries as well, just like we saw in Explorers.
Yeah, well, I'm not from around here, so...
Neither are we. I'm from Argentina.
We're backpackers, and I'm from France.
All the other animals in Bluey are not sentient. They're just regular kind of pets, sort of like what we saw at the vet in the episode Copycat.
Excuse me, we found this little fella. I think a cat might have got to him.
Oh, thank you. Come here, little one. I'll get him to our vet.
Good luck, little mate.
Well, you know what? I wanted to we've got an animal which went extinct a little while ago called a Tasmanian tiger. And I really wanted to put one of them in. And I was talking to my brother, and then they're technically not canines. They're actually more related to possums. But they look exactly like a dog. It never made it in, this little Tassie tiger, but that would have been the closest to a feline, even though possum's not close. But I'm willing to move outside the strictly dog species if I have to.
So no, there are no other sentient animals in Bluey except for the dogs. Now why, within the Blueyverse, is that the case? This is the Bluey theory that I had about the evolution of dogs. Characters. But we're going to focus on Chunky Chimp actually, and the Chunky Chimp movie, and what that might have to do with the idea of evolution in the Blueyverse. So in our world, a lot of time, animal movies usually show animals portraying similar biological behaviors or behaviors we would see in the real world.
Where nothing comes easy.
Hey, Scram, get your own fish.
Careful, pup.
So then it stands to fact that maybe the behaviors we see of the monkeys in Chunky Chimp, or chimps, actually also behave the same way that monkeys do in the Blueyverse as well. Perhaps they are also not very inquisitive, that they don't like to go down from their trees, that they're not interested basically in the groundlands.
The groundlands aren't for chimps. Tree World is where we belong. Why can't you just be like the rest of us? Why do you have to be so different?
I mean, it's not just movies, it's also TV shows like, for example, Bluey, where they also act like dogs sometimes with the barking and tail wagging.
Ow!
You get what I'm saying. So perhaps in the Blueyverse, monkeys never left the trees. They never evolved into cavemen or Neanderthals. They just stayed up in their trees instead. And perhaps wolves then became the main dominant land creature. I mean, maybe that was even why the monkeys didn't come down in the first place, was because they were scared of the wolves. Now, this means that wolves would have had to have been forced to survive by themselves without humans helping them in any way. So lone wolves, weak wolves, they would have had to basically go through the idea of survival of the fittest. They would have had to have evolved to survive and continue on as a species. Now, this idea of survival of the fittest pushes the evolution of their brain and the idea of using tools as well. And this is where the monkeys come into their evolution timeline, as we saw in Flatpack. Monkeys have thumbs. They have opposable thumbs just like humans, but in the Blueyverse, the dogs still have like the 4 kind of claw hands. So perhaps though, they realized that they needed a way to be able to grip and grab things because they don't have humans to help them. But maybe they saw the monkeys in the trees using their opposable thumbs and fingers to grip and grab things, and that pushed their brain evolution into copying and mimicking that. And that's how they started to get opposable claws instead. They needed to be more dexterous and be able to easily grab things. So I think that this might explain where the monkeys come into it and the idea of how the Blueyverse dogs started to use their hands or forelegs more. But then how did they start to walk upright? So this again, it comes into the fact that they didn't have humans around anymore to throw food down towards them. Instead, they had to use their hind legs a lot more to push themselves up, to reach up and grab food from different sources, which means that their legs would have been more muscular. They would have started to walk more upright so that they could reach things higher and higher, and eventually just cause the evolution of them walking. Similar to how eventually apes had to go from walking down on the ground to walking upright as well. But then how did we get different breeds in the Blueyverse and not just have the wolf into dog breed basically? I think it's got honestly a lot to do with how we have different races as human beings as well. Just like humans, the wolves would have eventually evolved and migrated into different parts of the world, which means that they would have had to evolve to those different parts of the world as well, and thus created different races or different breeds. But then what about the more specific man-made breeds of dogs that we have, like bulldogs, Pomeranians, and dachshunds? Well, it is possible that it is from intermarrying and interbreeding, just like it is in real life and how we create those specific breeds in real life. So for example, in our real world history, a lot of royal families did a lot of intermarrying. And because of that, there were very specific physical traits that started to appear. For example, the Habsburg jaw is probably one of the most famous physical changes and the most noticeable ones. So perhaps in the Blueyverse, this also happened. Perhaps specific breeds were created by intermarrying within royal families, or maybe even just regular families as well, because they wanted specific traits. I mean, for example, in the real world, we bred dachshunds so that they would have a long tube body, so they'd be better at hunting. We bred other dogs so that they'd be cute and smaller, and maybe the Blueyverse did the exact same thing. Maybe dachshunds in the Blueyverse were hunters and they needed to be better at hunting, and so they intermarried to create a better hunting body. I mean, even in real life here in history, we have had different times where it was considered to be thin was more beautiful, fat was more beautiful, to have tan skin, to have really light pale skin. So maybe in the Blueyverse that was the same thing as well, but just a lot more physical features were bred by intermarrying into each other's families. And then over time you get more different colors and different types of breeds just appearing naturally all over the world. Now, continuing on with the evolution, of course, is then tools specifically that we also see in Flatpack, that they get the tool and that helps them evolve. Same thing in the Blueyverse, they get the tools, they evolve into a more technological society, as we see in the Bluey world now with tablets and iPhones and cars and planes. In Sleepy Time as well, we saw that there was a flag on the moon, so that means of course that they have eventually evolved into understanding space travel, and they have gone out into space as well, just like we did in the real world. But perhaps the Blueyverse is even more evolved than ours. And in Flatpack, we see Bluey saying goodbye to her daughter Bingo as she travels all over space. And maybe that exists in the Blueyverse. Maybe space travel is a real option and they can go into space and live on other planets. But what do you guys think? Do you think that that's the evolutionary timeline of the Blueyverse and that's how they went from the sea creatures into fully upright anthropomorphic dogs? Let me know in the comment section down below how much you believe this theory, or if you have any other theories about this as well that you'd like to share with everyone. Again, don't forget to hit that like button down below if you enjoyed this video, as well as that subscribe button and bell for notifications. I have picked out a few other videos that maybe you cheeky dogs would like to watch, and I will see you all in another video. Mwah! Bye!